Assalamu alaikum everyone. Today we will be talking about a very important conversation about deciding whether to make your Hajj journey from home, which might be anywhere in the United States, Canada, UK, or Australia, or from the country of your origin or birth. Now, there are quite a few factors that we will be talking about today. Number one, your setup. Everybody has a unique family dynamics, and it's important for you to be aware of what your options are. Number two, it's the booking steps between both options, the camp locations, as they could be quite different between the two, and other factors, which might be things like local language or even package pricing. Now, when you talk about the setup, everybody is unique. However, one thing that traveling from abroad gives you is the notion of certainty. Now, if that's something that's important for you, you might want to consider traveling from the country of your origin, as those countries have larger quotas. However, when traveling from the Western world, those quotas are limited and you are bound through the nusuk process. The next is if you are either traveling with family who is not resident of the country that you reside in, or if you have any other alternate arrangements where you might want to drop your kids off to a relative's or decide to travel and meet your family before or after your trip. Now, when you are looking from where to travel, the first thing that we're going to discuss is navigating the nusuk process, which is an extremely big disadvantage when you're traveling from the Western world. Whereas on the other side, you are actually given a white glove service, which is extremely convenient when you're plugged in with a package provider throughout your entire journey. Now, let's dig deep. For the nusuk process, for the Western world, as you can see, that you have to start off by creating an account on nusuk. For my example, it started off on the 22nd of Safar, and then it all came upon getting verified. Now, there was quite a bit of steps that I had to follow, make sure that my profile was accurate, my picture was as per the specifications, and that back and forth took quite a number of months. Now, once the wallet is open, which is on the 22nd of Rajab, that is when things really start to heat up. And then eventually on the 13th of Shaban is when the packages went for sale. And that is when we went ahead and booked the entire package online. I've covered that video in quite a bit of detail. Please take a look. And then eventually we're all making our way to the 8th of Dhul Hijjah when we're all planning to be in Mina for the Hajj, inshallah. So if I'm to summarize, you can see that my entire nusuk verification process took about 4.5 months, and packages were complete for most of us about 3 months in advance. However, the big call out here is the 1 month crunch period between getting verified, topping up your wallet, and then eventually making sure that you're selected for one of the packages. Now, if we were to take a look at in comparison to traveling from the country of your origin, nusuk disappears from your plans. Your package selection date is brought up quite a bit, which is around the 22nd of Rabiul Awwal. You have to make payments a few months after the package selection. About 4 months after your package selection is when you have to make your payments. The one step that is there as well is the submission of your passports and local IDs, which happens very close to the time that you're finalizing your packages. And then you have to make your payments about 4 months after the confirmation of your package. From a timeline perspective, as you can see, 8 months ahead of Hajj is when you have to ensure that your package is selected. 6 months before the departure date is when you have to make sure that your payments are all submitted. Now, next step is talking about the camp location, which for folks traveling from the Western world have the option of getting Major al-Kapsh. However, the default for the folks traveling from the country of their origin, which in this case I have specified Pakistan, would be Muassam Maktabe. Let's dig deep into the location of these camps. This is a image of the Jamarat and the Mina location, straight from the Nusuk website. Going into each one, let's focus on the Majar al-Kabsh. This is a 3 to 700-meter distance away from the Jamarat, and then it accommodates approximately 5,000 pilgrims. It is the first to get sold out, often in the first round, and availability is often a challenge. Now, Al Muassim camp is about 4 kilometers away from the Jamarat bridge and accommodates about 44,000 pilgrims. Now, if we are to dig deeper into specifically the Pakistan camp, which is Maktab A, it is a lot closer than the Western world. However, taking a look at one of these screenshots, which is a walk pattern from one of the Hujjaj who went last year, you can clearly see that while the camp is a lot closer to the Jamarat than what you will see in Muassim Maktab C, there is a big red detour that you have to take due to pedestrian traffic being rerouted. Now, let's take a look at these campsites in a little bit more detail holistically. So first, we talked about the fact that there's the Majra al-Kabsh, which is very, very close to the Jamarat. This is a Google satellite image to give you a better sense of how close they are. If I zoom out, you can now see right along the Kedan towers. These are specific towers built for the extremely luxury packages. We will get into that in another video, but the Pakistan flag showcases the Maktabe, which is very close. However, the walking distances may vary. And then third is Al Muassim Camp C, which is the campsite for the Western world, and that is quite a bit of distance away. Now, once we've seen these, let's take a look at what it means to get transported from the main Makkah location all the way to your Mina location, Muzdalifah, and Arafat. So all your transportation between Makkah and your Jamarat or the Mina location happens on shuttles, taxis, or private transportation. Now, once you're there, a high-speed train service for the residents of Majar al-Kabsh only is offered from the Jamarat all the way to Arafat, and you also have stops in Muzdalifah. Now, for the Al Muassim camp specifically, you have buses that are routed that take you between the Muassim camp, Muzdalifah, and Arafat. Now, these trains are accessible for the other Hujjaj. However, the distance is long and elevated and hard for you to get to the trains. Now, the walk that's happening at least twice is the distance between Jamarat and Al Muassim camp. And as we've spoken, it could range anywhere from 30 to 50 minutes each way. And as we talked about the Kadana Towers, those folks are transported back and forth on golf carts. So let's put all of those distances in perspective. From Makkah to the Jamarat is about 7 kilometers. From the Jamarat to the furthest areas of the Al Muassim camp is about a 4+ kilometer walk. If you're going from Mina to Arafah, is about a 13 kilometers bus ride. And if you're going from Muzdalifah back to Mina, it's about a 5.2 kilometers bus ride. Now, let's go through each of the days of Dhul Hijjah and how the process unfolds. From the first day, you start off in Makkah, make your way on the 8th of Dhul Hijjah to your camp in Mina. Once you're there, you sleep overnight, wake up, and make your way to Arafat. You spend the day in Arafat and then travel all the way to Muzdalifah to sleep under an open sky. Then you wake up, travel all the way to the Jamarat, then all the way to Makkah, perform your tawaf, and come back to sleep in Mina. You wake up, then you make your way to the Jamarat one more time, return back to Mina overnight, and then head back towards Makkah. However, you have the option of doing Jamarat the third day. Now that we've covered the first two aspects, let's take a look at the third aspect is considered a wash, where language and local guides provide benefits in each setting. Now, when we're looking at prices, we can go a lot deeper. In the next video, I'll cover packages in more detail. However, I want to provide you an overview of what the outlook is. Okay, when it comes to packages, there's aspect of more versus less convenience. Everything on the right is less convenient and everything on the left is more convenient. So you have the option of picking shifting versus non-shifting packages, where in Azizia, you have the shifting packages that allow you accommodation in a closer location to Mina during your stay. However, if you have the non-shifting package, it saves you the hassle of packing and moving. It gives you the ability to also rest right after your tawaf ifada and then also have the ability to perform additional salawat at the haram while you're in Makkah. From a camp location perspective, we've talked about the fact that the Kadana towers are the most convenient, even though they're further away. They provide golf cart transportation to and from the Jamarat. The Majar al-Kapsh, which is only available to the folks from the west, gives you the closest access, 3 to 700 meters, to the Jamarat and access to train service. Al Muassim Camp A, which is specifically for Pakistan, is closer and it also gives you more flexibility when it comes to having customizations in your packages. And then Al Muassim C, which is the furthest away from the Jamarat and provides the least convenience. From a duration standpoint, packages are typically either express, where they range from 10 to 14 days, or standard, which are over 14 days. Zone wise, we'll cover that at another time. But zone is the closest from the Haram. It provides better access to hotels in Medina and in Mecca, whereas zone B is further out. Zone M is considered as a zone C, which is the outskirts of Mecca. Bed configuration, as you can imagine, double beds are the most convenient and they are the most expensive. The further up you go into triple and quad accommodations, you get into more affordability. And those are similar aspects in packages for both home and country of your origin. The only exception being that for country of origin, you get some flexibility from your providers as they're there with you and have a lot more experience hosting you. The key takeaways are for this particular segment. Number one, decide early. As you can see, you need about a 9-month lead time in order for you to decide, pick packages on either route. Number two, your camp location. If you are able to get access to Majar al-Kapsh is ideal. However, as you know, that the nusuk process starts much later than your providers from other countries, which means that if that is something that's important for you, it might be better for you to start to look at the country of your origin, which will also provide you with certainty. And then the last thing is the nuance with nusuk, as it's known as the Hajj before the Hajj, which means there's lots of challenges that you have to go through. I hope you found this video useful. If you have any questions, please shoot me a comment and I'll try to respond as soon as possible. Thank you and have a good day. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.